Hello everyone, this is part 29 of What If Naruto was exiled after he brought Sasuke back, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe, it gives me more motivation. Enjoy. The sky rained heavily upon Konoha during the funeral for the fourth Hokage. All of Konoha turned out to bury their savior and leader. Sarutobi retook his position as Hokage and was speaking to the gathering. We are gathered here today to pay final respects to our honored S. He said, his eyes going to where Kushina under the umbrella held by Kakashi and surrounded by Rin, Tsunade and Shizune while she cradled her sons to her in their blankets. But it should be noted that this death takes place in the shadow of new lives. The sunrise over a better Konoha our beloved Yondaime gave his life to protect, and we each must nourish the will of fire he has passed on to his own children. Sarutobi said, his old eyes seeing Kushina fighting to keep her tears back and rock her children. He did not feel his SA vain or empty one, and we will not debate his profound wisdom he showed while he was amongst of us. Of Minato Namikaze I can only say this, of all the souls I have encountered in my life, his burned brightest with a will of fire that lit the entire nation with its brilliance. Sarutobi closed his eyes as the sky rumbled as if in agreement. He stepped down from the podium and placed a white flower on the table that had a picture of Minato. It was the day he'd become the fourth Hokage, his huge grin and squinted eyes and the V of his fingers telling all how proud he was of his quest to become leader of the village. Civilians came and placed their flowers and slowly left. Soon the council members, and Ninja and their families. Sarutobi stood there the whole time as finally Kushina with her sons came forward. Tsunade held Mika while Rin was hold Naruto after they paid their respects. Damn you Minato. The redhead's voice was rough. She dropped to her knees and Kakashi was there with Jiraiya, but she shrugged him off. You left me. Her voice a whisper, you left me, and your sons. Tears slipped from her eyes. Not only that, but what you did. You used our sons, damn it Minato, how could you? She ranted and raged, her words barely a whisper, but the amount of king intent coming off her was scorching the ground. Tsunade and Rin took steps back with the babies. The village hails you a hero. She slammed her hand on the ground causing a minor tremor. If you were here I'd kick your ass you stupid blonde barker. Kushina, Sarutobi began. Stay out of this or you'll take his place. The redhead snarled and the third Hokage wisely took 3 steps back and closed his mouth with an audible snap. Kushina turned back to the urn and picture. I am so pissed at you Minato. You made our sons Jinchurikis. You made them human SS. Well know this, I won't let them be. You had that philosophy, the good of the many S. Well I have my own. The good of my sons, outweigh the good of the village, or the world. They will grow up strong, they will grow up healthy and happy. She looked at Sarutobi. And they will be safe from both foreign and domestic attempts. Sarutobi winced as he recalled his effort the other day to have Kushina deny the boys their heritage and birthright. I think Boar and Ox will be out of the ICU in a month. He thought of the 2 Anbu who tried to get between the pissed-off widow and the third Hokage. When she learned that Sarutobi had told the council about what Minato had done, he was lucky that he was still standing. The fight amidst the council about King the twins had been loud. Tsunade had been there as a representative of her family seat and had told the gathered council if they made a move on Minato's sons, then she would personally level Konoha. Jiraiya from his place near the wall had told him that he would finish what she didn't. Ninja clan heads had agreed. The civilians and a few low-level families had fought on until Sarutobi's king intent had forced them all into their seats and silence. He told them that any attempt on Kushina and her sons would be considered acts of treason. Shaking his head he saw Kushina was now looking at Minato's picture. You stupid goof, the redhead said as a sad smile touched her lips. Come on Kushina, let's get you and the babies home. Jiraiya said. Sarutobi watched as the redhead allowed herself to be taken away. Sarutobi waited until he was alone except for the personal guard. He stood in front of Minato's urn and picture. She's right. You are a barker and a goof. I've already made mistakes since I've been back in charge. I should never have told the council about the ceiling. he admitted. And Danzo has dug in deeply with the civilian councils. He's maintaining that he did disband Root like you ordered, and the ninja with him are his family's personal guard. Sarutobi sighed. I can't do anything at this time against the Uchiha, my friend. I have a plan, but I need time to find someone to trust. This is a true cluster F in the making, Minato, and you left it in my lap. He sighed. Yes, I am kicking your ass as a prelude to what your wife is going to do to you when the time comes. Turning partially away. Rest in peace, Minato, you went before your time. Sarutobi sighed as he walked away, his Anbu bodyguards silent and unseen, while overhead the thunder rolled. XX. 5 years later. Get back here. Kushina's voice carried all across Konoha. At the Namika's compound, 2 boys laughing raced out the back door, half a step ahead of the bound mother, who they finally managed to sneak up on and handcuff her hands behind her back. Both boys were very proud of that. Their mother had been proud too, until Mikahamaru mentioned they lost the key. That led to the current chase, with Kushina swearing she would make sure they wouldn't be able to sit for a month. And no ramen for a year. That stopped both boys in their tracks. Eyes wide, they turned and looked at their mother, who had stopped as well. She looked at them and their wide eyes filled with tears. Don't do that, she said helplessly. Naruto's bottom lip quivered and Micah sniffled. Boys, she said as they continued, the quiver got more noticeable and the sniffles louder. Kushina knew she'd been suckered, but she could never deny them. Just get the cuffs off, she said. Ramen? Naruto asked. Kushina nodded and both her boys grinned as she knelt down with her hands behind her back. I admit, cuffing my forearms one atop the other keeps me from moving them and picking the locks. The scamps are getting good at this, she thought as she felt them fiddling with the locks. Hearing a click, she felt the cuffs come loose and she brought her arms around and rubbed her forearms. So, who taught you two to pick locks, and where did you get the cuffs from? She asked as both boys came around the front of her. They shuffled their feet and looked away. Mikahamaru. The redhead looked at Naruto, who shook his head quickly, and Kushina smiled, already guessing who taught them and gave them the tools. Naruto. She asked the blonde, who closed his eyes and shook his head. They know not to look me in the eye when they lie. Shaking her head, she stood and put a hand on the boy's shoulders. Back in the house, you two. We need to finish your lessons before we go to the park today. Both boys made grumbling sounds, but Kushina was adamant about them learning her clan's ways at the same age she had been. You want to be prepared before you go to the academy, don't you? She asked and got dual nods from the boys. Back in the dojo, she watched as they went through the beginning motions to the Uzumaki style of taijutsu. She smiled as both boys had the same fluid grace her family had, and she knew that once she had Minato's style to that, they would be nearly unbeatable. A knock drew her attention to the door where Rin was. Both boys looked ready to pounce on the woman who they considered an aunt, but a look from their mother kept them in place. Hello, Rin, just get off your shift at the hospital? Kushina asked. Her husband's former student nodded, tired look in her eyes. We really need to train more medics, she said, covering a yawn. There is some tea in the kitchen still, and I don't think the boys managed to eat all the rolls or sausage this morning. Rin nodded and passed through, waving to the boys, who grinned and waved back. Keep at it, Kushina said as she followed the dark-haired girl across the open courtyard to the main house and then into the kitchen. Haven't seen you all week, Rin, Kushina said. The girl paused, filling her teacup, and sighed. I am sorry about that. A couple of the Anbu squads have been seeing heavy action near the border. Rin looked at her friend. Kakashi's unit been sent out? Kushina asked. Late yesterday, Rin confessed. I don't know why this is happening. Bandits are being organized and they have a lot of nuke nin with them, along with displaced samurai. Kushina sighed. Sarutobi asked me to lead a squad out there. She told the medic. He didn't. Rin was shocked at this. Hi. Tried laying on a guilt trip. I might have split his desk after I was done scolding him like a child. Rin laughed at that. It had been a rough 5 years since Minato's funeral. Many in Konoha knew what the boys held despite the Hokage swearing the council to secrecy. There had been a few attempts over the years on the boys' lives. Kushina or Rin had been merciless in dealing with those that tried. Kakashi's body count was unknown by either woman, but a report on the Hokage's desk listed at least 100 attempts. The B were incinerated using Kaiten jutsus outside the village walls. Kushina decided to change the subject. I'm taking them to the park after their lessons today. I thought it would be a nice chance for them to play with others now that they're old enough. Rin smirked. You just want to get him to burn off some of that energy. Rin sipped her tea. Sensei was like an Energizer bunny on meth with a side of crack and followed up with speed. Both women laughed. Minato did have stamina, Kushina said with a soft grin. It still hurt, but it was a good hurt now. You want me to come with? Rin asked. No, Kushina said. You get some rest. You've been at the hospital and burning chakra like candy. Besides, Jiraiya is around, and he never misses a chance to spoil the boys. At Rin's looks she motioned and led the girl into the playroom. Rin paused seeing the stuffed toads and various wooden toys that looked to have been handmade with a lot of love and affection. He brought those monstrosities the other day, Kushina said pointing at the 5-foot stuffed orange toads. Gah, and they're orange, Rin said. Naruto loves them. Orange is his new favorite color now that it's come from his godfather. Rin shook her head. And Micah-kun, Kushina pointed to the stuffed slug. Tsunad's just as bad. Rin had to laugh at the competitive nature of the Sannin over the godchildren. And don't get me started on Kakashi, Kushina said. The Uzumaki woman looked at the medic and narrowed her eyes. And that brings me to you. Rin gave her a wide-eyed innocent look. What did I do? Between the stuffed dogs, not to mention the Inuzuka games you've taught them. Rin looked away, a grin on her face. And don't think I don't know about all the times you've taken them to Ichiraku's for those gutbuster ramen paloozas. Rin shrugged. I spoil when I can. Kushina sighed. I can't win. She muttered. 4 godparents, I can't win. At least you know you have babysitters on call. Rin said heading back to the kitchen. Kushina nodded. I appreciate you all. I saw the Uchiha, the youngest, and he's so spoiled. He was demanding things from his mother. I just don't want my boys to be like that. Rin laughed. Kushina, with Tsunade, Shizune and me around here to counter whatever Jiraiya-sama and Kakashi Baka do, you should know that those boys will be so honorable it won't be funny. Rin finished eating and Kushina saw that the boys were winding down from their katas, and seeing Rin's yawn she shooed her to her room. You get some sleep. I'll wake you before dinner. A jaw-cracking yawn from Rin stopped their talks. The boys managed to talk a mile a minute as they followed her before she hugged each of them and ruffled their hair and told them to have fun before entering the bathroom for a shower. Kushina looked at the pair of boys who turned their eager gazes at her, and she prayed that this wore 'em out for once. XX. Konoha Central Park. Kushina sat on a bench under a tree watching as Naruto and Micah played on some of the equipment. She scowled as several parents came and took their children away while shooting her son's hate-filled looks. She sighed. Fools. You see this Minato-kun? They treat your sons like they carry a plague. These are the people you cursed our sons for. Kushina thought to the heavens. She sent a wave of king intent at one man who had his arm raised as if to strike Naruto. The boys looked up and smiled at their mother, ignoring the man who had been about to attack them, certain in their childlike trust that their mother loved them and would protect them from anything bad. The growing too fast. Kushina turned. Sarutobi, she said with a look at the third Hokage. They are 5, she said, chiding him. Already, he mock-sighed. Kushina, about before, I am sorry for my words. I didn't mean them. You meant them, old man. Kushina said, cutting him off. But I will forgive you as you are stressed with dealing with the council. He bowed his head. I now regret ever telling those fools about what Minato did. He pulled out his pipe and used a small Kaiten spark jutsu to start light his pipe. I still say it was Danzo who leaked it. That or your former teammates. Kushina said, watching her children play alone. She scowled as parents whispered to their children to stay away from them. Jiraiya tells me you've started their training. The third said after several moments of silence. It is the Uzumaki way. Once they're older, the perverts have agreed to teach them Minato's style and jutsu. They watched as Naruto used Micah's shoulders to springboard to a low-hanging branch of a tree, then after using his knees to hang upside down, he grabbed his brother's hands and pulled him up. Those two will be a handful once they enter the academy. The third said as he watched them climb higher. They're a handful now, Kushina muttered, standing up and stepping to the tree. Boys, she called and got their attention. Not too high, she cautioned. Yes, Mom. She got back in stereo. Shaking her head, Kushina went and rejoined the Hokage as he enjoyed his pipe. Is there anything I can do to help? He asked as they watched the two boys play. Not really. We're set for money, and the godparents spoil them rotten. Sarutobi smiled as he pulled out a photo. You might want to add that to your collection. She looked at it and saw that it was her son's in the Hokage's office, sitting on the desk. Micah wore the robes while Naruto the hat. Between them was Sarutobi doing paperwork. All three grinned at the camera. Jiraiya left them with me for an hour. Shizune picked him up and took that. I have one on my desk. Kushina smiled. Thanks. She already planned on adding it to the collection. Has there been any word about the girl Orochimaru took? Kushina asked. Anko. The Hokage shook his head. Not yet, but Ibiki is leading a squad. Kushina nodded. He'll find her. When the boys begin the academy, is there a chance I could lure you back to part-time duty? We'll see. But right now, they're my only concern, old man. Kushina said. She then looked at him. You stopping by for dinner? She asked. Regretfully no, the Hokage said standing up. OJII. Two missiles realized who was talking to their mother and decided to greet the man they saw as a grandfather figure. Sarutobi grunted as he was hugged by the twin boys who were heroes at birth. Naruto-kun, Micah-kun. The Hokage said, giving each boy a squeeze and a smile. Come play. Micah asked. Alas, I cannot. I need to return to the greatest evil to all Hokages. At the twin looks of confusion, Sarutobi was saved from answering by a chuckled answer from Kushina. Paperwork. XX. And a new routine was added. Mornings were lessons that included manners, reading, writing, taijutsu and chakra control. Afternoons were spent in the park. It was on the 9th day visiting the park that the twins made new friends, each in the weirdest way. X. Take it back. Stay out of this, freak. The bully said as he shoved the red-haired boy. Of course freaks stay together. Her with that curved forehead, and you, said bully never got a chance to finish as Micah kicked said bully in a place that is not nice to be kicked for the male species. Naruto yelled and threw himself into the group of boys that had decided to defend their friend from Mikahamaru. The crossbody block took down 3 of the bullies and Micah, seeing his brother succeed, used a vertical press and started to rain punches into another boy's face with a wild yell. At this point several parents, finally paying attention, rushed in to save their precious babies from the vile demon brats. I'll show you, you little monster. A pudgy civilian said, raising a hand to strike the boys. The civilian was rather brave as Kushina wasn't there this day. The kunai that held his wrist however told him that the boys' ninja guardians were Uncle Obito. Naruto said. Itachi. Mikahamaru said to the genin that was with his Junin cousin / instructor. All of you idiots clear out. Obito hissed, a pair of kunai in his left hand ready to be thrown, his right hand behind his back ready to draw his sword. Naruto and Micah looked on as the pink-haired girl was dragged away by her mother. She looked at him, her wide green eyes on him till she was out of sight. You know, playing hero isn't supposed to be that rough. Obito said, giving the boys a grin, and after putting his weapons away he ruffled their hair. Thanks, Obito. The grinning Uchiha turned and smiled. I got distracted helping my cousins with their pups. Rin said as she hurried up. I am so sorry, you two. She said to the boys. We're fine. They did rather well using Obito's unorthodox style. Itachi said, shooting his cousin and sensei a look. Obito smirked. Hey, pro wrestling is making a comeback. Wait till I show them how to suplex piledrive someone. Not around Lady Kushina, you shouldn't. Itachi said. The two were polar opposites. While Itachi seemed to fit the mold of the rest of the Uchiha clan in manners and style, Obito was totally opposite in that he was loud, brash, colorful, he's wearing neon yellow shirt and pants, and sporting a cheesy grin. Where's the rest of your team, Obito Barker? Rin asked, looking around. The grin on Obito's face slowly fell and he sighed. We were delivering supplies to the border patrols and were attacked. If Kakashi hadn't arrived when he did, it here and I would be smears on the landscape. Stop calling me that infernal nickname. Itachi said. Faye, I'll get that stick removed one of these days, cousin. Obito said. He looked at the two children before him. Got a hug for your cool uncle. Both boys did just that. Where's Kushina? He asked Rin later while Itachi had been dragged with the boys out amidst the park. He protested too much, but the adults could see a warmness there when he spent time with the twins. Stupid council meeting again. Danzo keeps trying to get control of the boys. The medic shook her head. Aunt Chum and the other clan heads are with her, it's the civilian council that's the problem. Obito sighed. Hiashi Hyuga and my uncle are only playing the fence. I've heard him at home several times bad-mouthing the boys. He's very careful what he says, but Itachi knows. Rin looked at her former teammate. Obito saw her look and waved it away. He doesn't care. He's known him since they were babes like his brother. Obito sighed and fiddled with the goggles around his forehead. Sasuke might be a problem. My uncle has him believing he's a prince and everything is his for the asking. But Itachi is the clan heir. Rin said. Fugaku is an asshole. There are political fights going on behind the scenes. He sighed. I should be helping Kushina-sama, not leading Genin. Rin smiled. Who'd have thought, you a sensei to anyone? Hey, Minato-sensei believed in me. Rin smiled. We all do Bito. We just give you a lot of S over your younger years. I did grow up, Rin-chan. He said, giving her a grin. And you became more beautiful. Rin sighed. Obito. I know. You love Kakashi, and he, sigh, I know. But I can't help that my heart is yours. XX. Micah and Naruto spent an hour talking with Itachi and climbing the tree. Kiba had come with his sister and spent time with them. The three boys were soon rockhousing and Hana shook her head. Are they always this wild? She asked Itachi. They are excited to have someone their age to play with. Your brother seems just as feral. Hana smirked. I still say Mom found him in the woods. You are related to Lady Rin? Itachi asked carefully. Well she's my cousin, but Dad before he disowned her as she couldn't bond with any of the dogs. But she is an accomplished medic. An apprentice to the Yondaime. Itachi said confused. Mom's pissed about his stupidity. It's because of Aunt Rin that I'm learning to be a vet. The two Genin watched the three boys roll around and tackle one another. Things were going fine until Kiba bit Naruto. The scuffle left three boys battered with Kiba yelling at Hana to let him go. He wasn't finished, despite the fact his eyes were swelling shut. And I think no more red meat for you, little brother. She said, hogtying him and slinging him over her shoulder with ease, indicating this wasn't the first time she'd done it. I'm sorry, Hana, they do get wound up, and Rin started, but Hana waved her off. It's time we got home anyways. Kiba has lessons with Mom. As she carried him away, Kiba called out to the twins, see you tomorrow. Which was then echoed by the blonde and redhead with huge grins. Rin sighed as she led them home, Itachi heading back to the Uchiha district and Obito helping Rin with the boys. XX. Another friend made was Hinata Hyuga, who with her cousin Neji and her uncle Hisashi were introduced to the Uzumaki Namikaze boys while they were being watched by Obito a couple days after their meeting Kiba. Rin had clinic duty and Kushina had to go to yet another council meeting. Naruto, Kiba and Micah were running around playing a wild game of tag when Naruto literally ran into Hinata, taking them both to the ground. Neji got offended, but his father chuckled and watched as Naruto was frozen, his blue eyes locked on the pale lavender eyes of his niece. Obito, seeing the Hyuga, jogged over. Sorry about that, Hisashi-sama, they weren't watching where they were going. The Hyuga waved the apology away. It's fine. I thought it best to get the children out of the compound and meet someone their own age. He smiled, seeing both children not move yet. It seems Hinata's made an impression on Naruto-kun. Kiba and Micah were bored and hauled the blonde to his feet. Hello, Micah said as Neji helped Hinata up. She blushed. Hello, she said, her eyes dropping. The adults watched as the children introduced themselves. Neji was strict and proper, whereas Hinata was soft-spoken and nervous. Want to play tag with us? Naruto finally asked. He didn't wait for a response as he took Hinata's hand and dragged her along, yelling out, Kiba's still it. Micah scrammed and Neji, smarter than he looked, leapt away as well, leaving Kiba howling and rushing after the now laughing children. Kushina was right. Hisashi muttered. What was that? Obito asked with a grin. She visited last week to talk with Hitomi and she mentioned that it would be good for the children. Obito smirked. She usually is. Minato-sensei learned early on in their relationship that she was right and not to argue within her hearing range. They watched as the children played for hours, Hisashi leaving and coming back with lunch for them all. The children seated together, Hinata and Naruto talking back and forth. They are cute together. The elder Hyuga muttered. Hiashi will have a fit. The old blowhard can stick it. Obito said. Kushina and Hitomi will make sure he keeps his large nose out of it. I love my brother, I really do, but lately he's starting to act more like our father and the council than the person I grew up with. Obito nodded at this. My uncle thinks that the Uchiha have the right to dictate to everyone else in Konoha. With the Uchiha ruling the police force, they have a power wedge that makes things very difficult for the old man. I know Sensei thought of fixing that, but, he shrugged, indicating what had happened that day all those years ago. A yell drew their attention and both adults were running, seeing Hinata on the ground and a group of civilians around the children. Both cursing in their heads at not watching the civilians closer. XX. Hinata Hyuga was timid. She was insecure and her self-worth was non-existent due in large part her father's words. If I had a son, he would not be a disappointment. When her uncle and cousin had told her that they were taking her to the park under her mother's orders, Hinata had actually felt relief of being away from her father's piercing eyes that held nothing but contempt and disappointment. When they arrived at the park, Hinata noticed that most of the people were gathered on the far side, even clustered together, and that confused her. She was just turning when she was struck hard, as if she'd been in a spa with her father. It took her a moment, and when she did, her eyes met the bluest pair of eyes above her own and she suddenly found it hard to breathe. Later in the day, Hinata came to the conclusion that today was one of the best days ever, and nothing would change that in her mind. Sadly, events later that night would have life-altering consequences on Hinata's whole world. XX. Disillusioned and unseen by mortal eyes, Kami smiled as she looked at the children playing. Now to fix another mistake. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.